Part 1, the eye that sees beyond, and the ones that see it back. There's a moment in the life of every seeker where the veil begins to lift and reality starts to crack open. You begin to see beyond the surface of things, patterns in people, energy in places, truths behind lies. And it feels like a gift, like you've been handed the key to a deeper world. But what if I told you that not every vision is sacred? What if I told you that opening your third eye without preparation is like lighting a beacon in a dark forest, one that not only helps you see, but also helps others see you? And not all of them come in peace. We have been taught that the third eye is a gateway to divinity, and it is, but it is also a portal, a receiver, a transmitter. When you activate it, you are tuning into a frequency that exists beyond the physical. But just like a radio picks up many stations, your third eye picks up many signals, and not every signal is pure. There are entities, beings of lower vibration, of shadow and distortion that are waiting for open channels. They seek not just to observe, but to influence. And the third eye, when unguarded, becomes their favorite access point. Let's go back to the beginning of your awakening. Do you remember the dreams that got more vivid? The strange synchronicities? The sudden intuitive hits that felt like messages? That was your third eye beginning to stir. But along with that stirring, you may also have noticed the fear, the confusion, the sudden overwhelm. That's not coincidence. When the third eye opens, you become visible in the astral realm. You become a light in the dark. And where there is light, there is attention, some of it benevolent, and some of it predatory.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Demons don't always come with snarls and smoke. Sometimes they come through thoughts that feel like your own. Sometimes they come through visions that start beautiful and turn disturbing. They disguise themselves as guides, as deities, as ancestors. They mimic frequencies. They imitate light. And if you haven't grounded yourself in truth and discernment, you won't know the difference. One of the first ways they use the third eye to influence you is by distorting your perception of reality. They tweak what you see just enough to lead you off course. They don't need to lie outright, just bend the truth. Have you ever had a vision, a dream, a download that made you feel chosen but also superior? That is the signature of ego infiltration. The third eye, when not balanced with the heart and root chakras, becomes a playground for spiritual arrogance. Demons feed that arrogance because it separates you from others. It isolates you. It cuts you off from humility, from compassion, from grounded wisdom. And once you're isolated, you're easier to manipulate. They feed your visions, fuel your pride, and then twist your path into illusion. You may think you're ascending, but you're actually circling. Another tactic they use is implanting false imagery. You begin to see symbols, signs, and beings that seem sacred. But instead of leading you to peace, they lead you into obsession, confusion, or fear. These visions often come with a sense of urgency, a compulsion to act, or a pressure to perform. And here's the key. Divine visions bring clarity, not chaos. They bring peace, not panic. If what you're seeing through your third eye makes you feel anxious, paranoid, or superior, step back. Ask yourself, who is benefiting from this vision? Is it expanding your soul or inflating your ego? You must understand this. The third eye is neutral. It's not good or bad, it's a tool. But like any tool, it can be misused, hijacked, or hacked. Demons know how to mimic light. They know how to use sacred geometry, ancient symbols, and even divine voices to earn your trust. And once they have your trust, they influence your choices. They whisper in your moments of doubt. They suggest in your moments of stillness. They don't need to possess you, they just need to plant seeds. And the third eye is fertile ground if your discernment is weak. Let me ask you a question that few dare to answer. How much of what you believe today came from a vision you never fully questioned? We live in a time where spiritual experiences are glorified, but rarely scrutinized. People chase visions but neglect integration. They open their third eye but forget to shield their energy. They seek downloads but ignore discernment. That is dangerous. Because the spirit realm is real, but it is not always holy. And once you open the door, you are responsible for who and what you allow in. This is not to create fear but to awaken reverence. Demons also use the third eye to create addiction to the mystical. You start chasing spiritual highs, visions, dreams, hallucinations. It becomes like a drug. You meditate not for peace but for spectacle. You seek experiences, not embodiment. And every time you chase the next cosmic thrill, you open yourself more to interference. They feed off that desperation. They feed off that need. Because the more you chase, the more you disconnect from your center. And the more disconnected you are, the more susceptible you become. This is why grounding is essential. Your third eye must be rooted in your body, your breath, your earth connection. Otherwise, it floats into fantasy. Demons love fantasy. They love when your visions become delusions. They love when your prophecies become paranoia. And they especially love when your spiritual gifts become your identity. Because then they can manipulate you through them. They can turn your gift into your cage. You must learn to cleanse your third eye not just with sage or crystals, but with truth. You must fast from falsehood. You must detox from spiritual ego. You must sit with silence long enough to hear what is real. Because truth has a vibration. Peace has a frequency. And anything that doesn't match that, no matter how mystical it appears, is suspect. You must become a guardian of your own sight. And here's a deeper truth. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is say no. No to visions that confuse. No to dreams that manipulate. No to energies that demand. The divine never demands, it invites. The divine never pressures, it guides. So if your third eye is showing you something that feels heavy, frantic, or urgent, pause. Check the source. Not every voice in the spirit realm comes from your higher self. Let's talk about the dream world, because this is another place where the third eye becomes a battleground. As your third eye opens, your dreams become more vivid, more layered, more prophetic. But they also become more vulnerable. Demons use dreams to implant fear, to stir confusion, to create energetic contracts. You may dream of people, places, symbols, but wake up feeling exhausted or disturbed. This is not random. This is astral infiltration. And if you don't know how to close your third eye before sleep, you leave the door wide open. Have you ever had a dream that felt like more than a dream? A dream that haunted you for days. That wasn't just your subconscious, it was a visitation. And what you do with those dreams matters. Do you write them down? Do you pray over them? Do you test their messages against your spirit? Or do you just absorb them blindly? Because dreams are messages, but not all messages are from love. Some are planted. Some are poisoned. And your third eye is the soil. This is why daily spiritual hygiene is not optional. Clear your energy. Set your intentions. Guard your mind. Close your portals. Your third eye should serve you, not expose you. It should reveal truth, not invite deception. And that only happens when you live in alignment. Not just energetic alignment, but moral, emotional, and spiritual integrity. Demons don't just target the open, they target the unguarded. You can be powerful and still vulnerable if you lack discipline. Ask yourself another question. Are you seeking mystical insight to avoid practical responsibility? Because demons love when you use your third eye as an escape. They love when you meditate to avoid action, when you seek visions instead of doing the inner work. The third eye was never meant to replace your life, it was meant to illuminate it. But if you're using it to bypass pain, truth, or responsibility, you've already been influenced. And so we begin this journey not in fear, but in fierce awareness. The third eye is sacred, but it is not untouchable. And if you are truly ready to see, you must also be ready to discern. Because what you see is not always what it seems. And what sees you through the third eye may not always be what you invited. Part 2. The unseen contracts behind your sight. The deeper we go into this mystery, the more we begin to understand that the third eye is not just a mystical lens, it's a spiritual interface. It's the bridge between worlds, the translator of realms, the filter through which both light and shadow can speak. But this bridge must be maintained. If left unguarded, it becomes corroded by foreign influence. And demons, those ancient architects of distortion, are constantly looking for access points, not just to see what you see, but to guide what you believe you're seeing. You see, your third eye is connected to your belief system. And demons don't attack you directly as much as they attack your perception of truth. If they can distort your perception, they can distort your decisions. And if they can distort your decisions, they can reroute your destiny. This is how subtle the influence is. They don't need to possess your body, they just need to influence your perspective. Because your perspective is what creates your reality. And the third eye is the seed of that creation. What most people don't realize is that when your third eye is open, you are not just seeing energy, you are interpreting it. And interpretation is vulnerable to emotional filters. If you are wounded, your third eye will interpret through the lens of trauma. If you are fearful, it will interpret through the lens of survival. If you are ego-driven, it will interpret through the lens of superiority. Demons use these filters like keys. They do not need to create new doors, they just walk through the ones you've already left cracked open. Think back to a time when you had a vision or insight that led you down a path of destruction. Maybe it seemed divine at first, a relationship, a job, a spiritual calling, but over time it drained you. That original vision may have been real, but it was hijacked mid-flight. Demons use partial truths to gain your trust. They feed you just enough accuracy to make you believe the whole message is divine. And once you're bought in, they begin to twist it. They'll plant new ideas, new revelations, new desires that seem aligned but lead to chaos. One of the most overlooked tactics is how demons use false synchronicities. You begin seeing repeating numbers, symbols, and signs that seem to confirm a course of action. But synchronicity alone is not proof of alignment. Frequency can be mimicked, energy can be falsified, and if you are emotionally attached to the outcome, you will interpret everything as confirmation. This is why discernment is more important than intuition. Intuition is the signal, discernment is the filter. Without both, your third eye becomes a mirror for your projections instead of a window to truth. Demons also use the third eye to create energetic contracts. Every time you agree with a lie, you enter into spiritual alignment with its architect. If you believe you're powerless, you are signing a contract with disempowerment. If you believe you are superior, you are aligning with spiritual pride. These agreements are not always verbal. They are energetic, emotional. They happen in your thoughts, in your feelings, in your reactions. And the third eye becomes the courtroom where they are made. You must become your own spiritual lawyer, questioning every thought, every vision, every truth that enters your field. This brings us to the concept of spiritual infiltration through guides. Not every spirit guide is what it claims to be. Demons are masters of imitation. They can take on the appearance of ancestors, angels, ascended masters. They know your cultural symbols. They know your spiritual language. And once they appear in a form you trust, they begin to feed you distorted messages. These messages often start sweet, empowering, affirming, uplifting. But over time, they become more demanding, more fear-based, more ego-driven. And by the time you notice the shift, the contract is already in place. Ask yourself this: have you ever received guidance that made you feel special, but also isolated? Empowered, but also superior? Inspired, but also dependent on the voice giving it? That's not divine guidance, that's spiritual grooming. The divine will always point you back to your own sovereignty. It will never encourage dependency, never inflame your ego, never use fear to guide you. If your third eye opens you to a guide that makes you feel chosen but also chained, you're not in communion, you're in compromise. Another method of demonic influence is through emotional programming. They use your third eye to trigger emotional responses that reinforce their message. For example, you may receive a vision of a future event, a disaster, a betrayal, a prophetic warning. But instead of peace, it brings anxiety. Instead of clarity, it brings panic. This is not prophecy, it's programming. True divine insight brings stillness, even when the message is intense. Demonic insight brings chaos, confusion, and urgency. If your third eye is showing you panic, stop and question the source. Who benefits from your fear? You must also consider how technology and media now act as vessels for third eye manipulation. We scroll through endless images and videos that penetrate our subconscious. These visuals bypass the logical mind and sink into the third eye space, shaping our perception, our desires, our fears. Demons don't need to appear in dreams anymore. They appear in algorithms. They show up in the video that triggers your insecurity. They whisper through the audio that tells you you're not enough. Every image you consume becomes a seed, and your third eye is the soil. This is why fasting, both physical and digital, is powerful. When you fast from external input, you reclaim your inner signal. You begin to hear your own thoughts again. You begin to reset your frequency. Demons rely on constant distraction to keep your third eye misaligned. They want noise, chaos, busyness, because in stillness, they lose access. In silence, they are revealed. And the moment you reclaim your attention, you reclaim your power. Let us speak now of the illusion of awakening. Many people have had a spiritual awakening triggered by third eye experiences. But awakening is not the same as evolution. Awakening is the door. Evolution is the journey. Demons don't fear the awakened, they fear the integrated. They fear those who not only see truth but live it. Because seeing is passive, living is powerful. You may have seen the Matrix, but have you left it? Ask yourself, am I addicted to seeing or committed to becoming? The third eye can show you many things, but what you do with what you see is what determines your alignment. If you use your vision to judge others, inflate your status, or escape responsibility, you are being influenced. If you use your vision to serve, to heal, to humble yourself, you are being empowered. The third eye is not a status symbol. It is a sacred responsibility. And demons know that the more you misuse it, the more access they gain. They also attack through fatigue and overwhelm. As your third eye becomes more active, you may begin to feel drained, anxious, or foggy. This is not just energetic overload, it is spiritual warfare. When your pineal gland is overstimulated without protection, it becomes a beacon for interference. You begin to see too much, feel too much, interpret too much, and that overload becomes a doorway. Demons thrive in confusion. They don't need to mislead you, they just need to exhaust you. Because a tired soul is a compliant soul. This is why rest is sacred. Not just sleep, but spiritual rest. You must learn to close your third eye when it's not needed. You must learn to ground, to unplug, to release. Constant activation is not enlightenment, it's imbalance. And imbalance is the breeding ground for infiltration. Your third eye is not meant to be your master. It is meant to be your servant. You must take back authority over your own sight. Let us not forget the importance of humility. Pride is the open wound through which demons enter. The moment you believe you are above others because of what you see, because of your visions, your downloads, your gifts, you have already been compromised. True seers walk in silence. They do not need to prove. They do not need to perform. They simply are. The more loudly you proclaim your sight, the more likely it is that your vision has been hijacked. And so we reach the edge of the deeper mystery. The third eye is both a gift and a test. It is the eye that sees, but also the eye that must be seen. What watches you as you watch the unseen? What judges your inner world as you interpret the outer realms? The third eye is a mirror, and what it reflects is the state of your soul. Part 3. The liberation of sight and the return to true vision. There comes a time in the spiritual journey when we must stop asking what we can see and begin asking what is seeing through us. The third eye is not just a mechanism of vision, it is a mirror of intention. It reflects not only the cosmos, but the condition of the soul that peers through it. And this is where demons make their final play. Once they've distorted your insight, manipulated your emotions, and infiltrated your dreams, they attempt something far more sinister. They try to replace your inner compass. They twist the very eye that was meant to lead you home and use it to guide you away from yourself. You must understand that spiritual power without spiritual maturity is dangerous. The third eye may open before the heart does. It may awaken before your ego is healed. It may activate before your roots are grounded. This is the perfect storm for demonic interference. Because when your sight outpaces your surrender, your visions become weapons. And demons are always willing to load the gun. They don't need to force you to do anything. They simply amplify the parts of you that are already leaning towards self-deception. This is why we must examine the ego's role in psychic sight. The ego loves being the one who sees. It loves spiritual superiority. It loves being the oracle, the prophet, the awakened one. And that pride becomes a signal and invitation for entities that specialize in flattery. They will whisper truths wrapped in lies. They will feed you just enough revelation to keep you addicted to their presence. And over time, you begin to mistake their voice for your own. Or worse, you begin to believe their voice is God's. Have you ever received a message during meditation or a vision that stroked your ego more than it stirred your soul? That wasn't awakening, that was seduction. Demons do not always fight through resistance. Sometimes they win through agreement. They use your own desire for power, status, or recognition to infiltrate your spiritual sight. And by the time you realize it, you're no longer seeing what's true, you're seeing what keeps your identity intact. The third eye becomes a screen, not a window. And everything you see is colored by a need to be right, to be special, to be more enlightened than others. This is where we must return to a forgotten practice. Spiritual humility. True vision begins in surrender. Not surrender to entities, not surrender to visions, but surrender to truth. Truth that humbles. Truth that strips. Truth that doesn't always flatter, but always frees. When your third eye is grounded in truth, it becomes a tool of liberation. But when it is grounded in ego, it becomes a leash. You wear it like a crown, but it drags you into darkness. And demons love nothing more than to crown you with your own illusions. Now let us speak about psychic dependency. a modern spiritual epidemic. Many people today are addicted to guidance. They cannot make a move without pulling a card, checking an astrology chart, or asking for a sign. This is not empowerment, it's enslavement. Your third eye was not meant to be a crutch. It was meant to be a compass. Demons use this dependency to keep you in a constant state of uncertainty. They flood you with conflicting signs. They overwhelm you with too many messages. And in the chaos, you lose the ability to trust your own inner knowing. Ask yourself, when was the last time you made a decision without needing a sign? This is not to deny the power of divination or spiritual insight. But when your third eye becomes your master instead of your servant, something has gone wrong. Demons love to keep you stuck in the cycle of seeking. Always searching, never arriving. Always decoding, never deciding. They know that a seeker who never becomes a finder is easy to manipulate. They will give you just enough breadcrumbs to keep you hungry and just enough confusion to keep you lost. To break this influence, you must reclaim your authority. Your third eye is not your source. It is a lens. The source is within you. It speaks in stillness, in silence, in sovereignty. When you remember that, you begin to see clearly again. You begin to recognize the counterfeit light. You begin to discern the subtle manipulations. And most importantly, you begin to trust yourself, not your visions, not your dreams, not your downloads, but the deep ancient self that existed before any of those things. Let us now address ancestral interference. Many of the distortions in your third eye are not even yours. They are inherited. Patterns of fear, spiritual fragmentation, and occult confusion passed down through bloodlines. Demons do not only attack individuals, they attack lineages. If your ancestors opened doors they never closed, you may be seeing through a lens that is carrying their residue. You may be interpreting reality through generational distortion. That's why healing is not just personal, it's hereditary. When you cleanse your third eye, you're not just clearing your vision, you're clearing your bloodline. Have you ever had a spiritual experience that felt ancient, as if it didn't come from this life? That may have been ancestral memory. But memory is not always truth. It can be fragmented, distorted, manipulated by entities who want to keep your line bound. This is why you must become the filter. You must test every vision, every dream, every message not against your desire, but against your discernment. Because when you break ancestral agreements, you don't just see more clearly, you become the clarity your lineage never had. This leads us into the initiation of true seeing. Not all sight is given. Some sight must be earned. You earn it through endurance, through silence, through choosing truth, even when it costs you comfort. The third eye can be opened by trauma, by psychedelics, by meditation. But true vision is forged in the fire of surrender. It comes not from seeking more, but from releasing more. The more illusions you release, the clearer you see. The more ego you shed, the sharper your insight. And the more truth you embody, the less influence darkness has over your sight. Demons fear the integrated seer, not because of what they see, but because of what they cannot manipulate. Integration is the ultimate exorcism. When you are whole, you are not a vessel they cannot enter. When you are present, you are not predictable, they cannot plan. When you are aligned, you are not reactive, they cannot provoke. This is the liberation of sight. Not just seeing visions, but seeing through them. Seeing the source. Seeing the intent. Seeing the consequence. At this point, your greatest protection is not light, it's alignment. So many people chase light, thinking it will protect them from the dark. But demons can mimic light. They cannot mimic integrity. They cannot mimic wholeness. They cannot mimic truth. And when your third eye is aligned with your heart, your body, and your soul, you become untouchable. not because you are shielded, but because you are anchored. Let me ask you a final question. If every vision, every sign, every dream disappeared tomorrow, would your spirit still know what is true? This is the ultimate test. To see without needing to see. To know without needing evidence. To move without needing confirmation. That is the mark of a true seer. Not someone who sees everything, but someone who sees the right thing. At the right time, for the right reason, in the right way. And so, as we come to the end of this sacred unraveling, I leave you not with fear, but with fierce clarity. Your third eye is not a toy, not a trend, not a trend. It is a temple. And only you decide what enters. Only you decide what speaks through that gate. Only you decide what truth looks like in your life. The demons have tried to deceive you, distract you, distort your sight. But here you are, still seeing, still seeking, still remembering. That is your power. That is your weapon. That is your light.